We have an affection for traditional American music in general, and that's the music that preceded the folk revival and music that followed the period that we made this specific movie about. So there's all that. But there was also a point in which I think we were just kicking around ideas, and we thought, wouldn't it be interesting to start a movie with a folk singer, specifically Dave Van Ronk? I don't know why he came to mind, but wouldn't it be interesting to see Dave Van Ronk being beaten up outside of Gertie's Folk City in the Village in 1961?
Yeah, we had an interesting casting challenge in that it was a movie written about one character, the fictional character, the centerpiece of the movie, who's in every scene, every frame of the movie. But we also knew that we wanted to see him perform. He's a musician. We wanted it to be about that, the movie to be about that, performance, about an artist. We wanted to see him actually perform songs, and not snippets of songs, but performing at length. So we wanted to, we were looking for a suitable actor and a credible musician, which is hard to find in combination. We just met Oscar, at the point where we were kind of despairing, because that's a hard thing to find, even in isolation, those two things, an actor that you like for the part and a musician that you find compelling. And we thought, we were starting to think, well, that person might not exist, the one person, the performer who can give us both of those things. And we just met as you do, actors in auditioning, in the audition process, and Oscar walked in the door, and we just kind of heaved a sigh of relief and thought, okay, there you go.
And it was interesting to us, this idea, and she seemed to sort of be able to perfectly embody this idea of this, woman who sings very sweetly, but is unbelievably angry, which we found to it's the way the character is written, and we found to be a very kind of amusing idea. And that was, that was it. It was also very amusing because we haven't really seen her do that, but the idea of her swearing like that and being that pissed off was amusing to us, and she was great.
Yeah, we've done a lot of movies. Actually, we've done one other movie not with Roger Deakins since we started working with Roger, but yeah, in the case of this one, Roger was working on the James Bond movie for not just months, at least a year. So this movie we worked with Bruno Delbonnel, somebody actually that we'd worked with once before in a short movie in Paris for the compilation film Paris Je t'aime. And Bruno is great, actually. The movie is really striking looking and strikingly like, and this doesn't always happen, strikingly like what we talked about before we started shooting the movie. Sometimes you have these theoretical discussions about how the movie should look, and then you get to the set and you just go, we'll figure out, we're going to figure out a way to make it look good, and all the previous discussion goes by the boards. But in the case of this one, we actually, Bruno kind of showed us, we started looking at, the kind of touchstone for us was the cover of Freewheelin' Bob Dylan, the very kind of ectochrome, slightly, the desaturated color, gray, slushy New York in the winter. And Bruno, we looked at other images kind of like that, and that's actually, as I say, what we ended up with, is surprisingly at the end of the day. It's weird when the plan actually works.
And we're always looking for an excuse in some kind of way to work with T-Bone. I mean, it's because it's always so interesting and so much fun. And I mean, on this one, he did really what he does on most of the things that we've worked with him on. It was sort of collaborating with him on what the actual repertoire, what the songs were going to be, but also then he comes in and he's really producing all of the music that gets performed in the movie. And And even before that, or maybe you could say part of that, was early on he was working with Oscar, who had to, not the other people have to perform on camera. So, it's really the whole thing. I mean, the music sort of from soup to nuts was something that he was sort of shaping.